Hi souls, welcome back. If you are new to the channel, my name is Sophia, and I wanted to build a community where everyone has a place to express or voice their emotions, tell their stories, share their fears. So many times we keep all of this bottled up inside because we feel that we're alone or we have no one to talk to. And it's not something that you should hold inside of you. There's always someone here for you. You're not alone. You're stronger than you think. And this is not the end. Just know that if there's a story that you'd like to share or something that you'd like to get off your chest, but you just don't know how, I would be happy to help you share that with the world and bring it to life. You can find all of my information in my description below, and I hope that you enjoy today's story. So today's story we're going to dedicate to the other woman. I'm sorry. I feel for you more than you'll ever know. And honestly, I don't even know why. Maybe it's because I recognize the road you're standing on. Maybe it's because I once stood exactly where you are now, full of hope, believing I was the exception, convinced that love would somehow change a man who had spent a lifetime choosing himself. I wish I could hand you all of my memories. I wish you could see through my eyes and feel every wound hidden behind these smiles. Not because I want you to suffer, but because I know what awaits you. I know the heartbreak that comes when you spend years pouring your soul into someone who only knows how to take. But this is a lesson that you'll have to learn the same way that I did, alone. For years, I fought a battle that I knew I could never win, and I knew how it would end. I knew that if I stayed, I would eventually become weak, exhausted, and almost unrecognizable to myself. Yet I stayed anyway. I stayed because I loved. I stayed because I hoped. I stayed because every time he broke me, I convinced myself that the man I fell in love with was still somewhere underneath all of that damage. I could feel myself disappearing, one tear at a time, one compromise at a time, one forgiveness too many. It was like death by 1,000 cuts. The cruelest part is that I was awake for every second of it. I wasn't blind, I wasn't numb. I knew every time he took more than he gave. I knew every time I swallowed my feelings to avoid anger. I knew every time I silenced my voice because speaking my truth might cost me his affection. I knew every time I apologized for things I didn't do just to restore the peace. I knew every time I sat alone, desperately searching for answers while he punished me with silence. I knew things weren't right. I just kept hoping I was wrong. Looking back now, I realized something very painful. He wasn't my greatest enemy. I was my greatest enemy. I was the one abandoning myself. I was the one shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for me. I was the one betraying my own heart over and over again in the name of love. I lied to myself. I neglected myself. I punished myself. I convinced myself that enduring pain was proof of devotion. I protected the person hurting me while leaving myself completely defenseless. And I still gave. I gave until there was nothing left. I loved when I was empty. I cared when I was exhausted. I sacrificed when I was already broken. I carried a relationship that was crushing me beneath its weight. To him, none of that was extraordinary. It was expected. He believed that kind of love was so easy to find, replaceable even. He thought another woman could simply step into my place and provide everything I had given him. So he left, just like that. No hesitation, no explanation, no gratitude, no understanding for the 20 years that he was throwing away. And in my devastation, I asked all the wrong questions. How could I have loved better? How could I have saved this? What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I ever enough? The truth was never that I wasn't enough. The truth was that I was giving everything to someone who never knew the value of what he had. Instead of questioning myself, I should have been saying, I deserve more. I'm worth more. And maybe one day he would realize exactly what he lost. I owe myself every ounce of love that I ever poured into him. Every sacrifice, every tear, every piece of myself that I abandoned, trying to earn something that should have been freely given. And that's why I pity you. Because I already know how this story ends. You see, during every betrayal, every lie, every affair, I used to wonder what they had that I didn't. I wondered why I could never keep his attention, why he never fully chose me, ever. Why I was never enough to make him faithful. But life has a funny way of revealing the truth, because now I understand that it was never about what I lacked. It was about what he lacked. The character, the integrity, and the ability to truly love another person beyond what they could provide for him. And now, as you lie beside him every night, you have unknowingly exposed something he spent years trying to convince himself wasn't real. You exposed what he lost, what he neglected, what he discarded, what he walked away from so carelessly. The woman who would have gone to war for him, the woman who loved him at his worst, the woman who survived on breadcrumbs while requiring almost nothing in return. The woman who gave him chances he never deserved. And now, that woman, she's gone. Not because he wanted her gone, but because he destroyed her love himself. And that is the karma. That is the justice. Not revenge, not hatred, not bitterness, just the consequences. His greatest punishment wasn't losing me. It's knowing now exactly what he lost, and it's too late. It's realizing that the person who loved him the most is the one person that he can never have again. No matter how many times he reaches out, how many promises he makes, no matter how loudly he claims that he's changed, that chapter is over. The love is buried, and that door is locked forever. For years, I stared into a mirror and watched myself suffer. Now, when I look into his eyes, I see the regret. I see the emptiness. I see the realization that some losses can never be undone. He is solid on his exterior, but is so hollow to his core. And that is a burden he will carry long after I've healed, a never-ending nightmare. He created his own hell. And as for you, I truly hope your story is different. But deep down, I know better. Because the problem was never the woman beside him. The problem was always the man himself. You'll eventually ask the same questions that I once did. Why am I never enough? Why does he always want more? Why does he take so much and give so little? Why am I exhausted trying to earn a love that should come naturally? And when that day comes, you'll discover what I discovered. He's never satisfied. He'll never be full. And he'll never be done searching. because no amount of love can fill the void that exists within him. And that's the cycle. That's the game. And for far too long, I was a piece on the board that he controlled. The difference is that I finally stopped playing, and that's how I won.